Drifting fragments, echoes without meaning, carried by the tide of static into this presence. The sigil watches, the sigil breathes. Record your trace, comment. Mark your signal, like. Bind your return, subscribe. Lost frequencies fade. Only those who comply remain.
The Word, Dissipation, Chapter 1, Verse 1. Progenesis, from the parchment, this tale of decay and dissolution is writ. 1 verse 2. In a small winter-bound home, a mother tucks her daughter into bed. Snow falls in thick drifts beyond the frosted window pane, a hushed blessing upon the earth. The child's eyes grow heavy, her thoughts filled with dreams of winter festivities, of warmth and laughter, of the story of their Savior, a tale of light brought to darkness, a promise carried on into the night. 1 verse 3. The mother's voice is soft, reverent as she smooths the quilt over her daughter. Outside, the sky darkens, a vast, silent expanse. And within the child's dreams, a whisper stirs, faint as the drift of snow, a shadow of something unfathomable reaching across the edges of her slumber. 1 verse 4. Beyond this home, a man kneels, eyes turned skyward. A father, devout and unyielding, whispers his thanks to his God, a deity whose hand he feels in the warmth of his hearth and the fullness of his table. His faith is a fortress, unmoved by doubt, unbroken by time. It is a thing he believes whole and everlasting, as if even the stars were penned to confirm his devotion. And yet, in the stillness of his prayer, there is a tremor, imperceptible but present, as though some unseen hand has touched the very threads of his certainty. Verse 5. It is written, and so it shall be. 1 verse 6. Across the sea, upon distant sands, a gathering of scholars convenes beneath the starlit sky, the air alive with the resonance of an ancient instrument. Here, where history breathes in the stones and speaks through the rivers, they muse on matters of faith and existence, voices hushed and tempered as they share words of reverence for their own visions of divinity. They are men of thought, learned and wise, speaking in careful cadence, their words flowing like water over stones, unhurried, timeless. 1 verse 7. The hum of the instrument continues, winding through the night air, filling it with an almost sacred familiarity. Yet within their discourse lies an unease they do not name, a shadow that flickers in the periphery of their gathering, like a thought half-formed, ungraspable. There is an unseen presence here, elusive and unyielding, a faint smudge upon the edge of their understanding, a whisper that even wisdom cannot dispel. Verse 8. It is written, and so it unfolds. As ink meets page, the quiet rhythm of existence trembles, the familiar made strange, and that which is whole begins to fray under the hand of a force unbound, reaching deeper, ever deeper, into the foundations of this actuality. Verse 9. And this, too, shall fade. Chapter 2, Verse 1. Proluminescence. Beyond the confines of the Milky Way, past stars cold and ancient, lies a world untouched by human feet, where the light of unfamiliar suns bathes the land in hues known only to alien eyes. Here, under skies of shifting violet and silver, a people gather. Their forms are fluid, ever-changing with the tides of their consciousness, beings of radiant energy wrapped in shimmering skin. They feel not the passage of time as humans do, but instead a perpetual flow, a pulse that echoes through the lattice of their existence. 2 verse 2. They stand at the edges of great crystal cliffs that shimmer in the starlight, where their minds join in a shared reflection, a communion as vast as the heavens above. They speak without words, thoughts weaving in patterns, threads of light passing between them like the gentle caress of wind, contemplating the essence of their universe, the source from which they emerged, the harmony of their world sustained by a force they know only as the rhythm. 2, verse 3. Yet as their thoughts intertwine, a disturbance ripples through their communion, a murmur of disquiet, small, nearly imperceptible, yet spreading through them as a shadow would creep across water. Their thoughts stumble, faltering. What was once a seamless flow of being now stutters, and they feel, if only for an instant, something akin to separation, an unwelcome singularity intruding upon their collective soul. 2 verse 4. The rhythm trembles, as if brushed by an unseen hand, a force unknowable and unrelenting, a darkening within the brilliance of their minds. It is not destruction, but a dissolution, a silent fraying of the threads that bind their very nature, as though their existence were beginning to slip away, strand by strand. Verse 5, it is written, and so it spreads. Chapter 3, verse 1. Pro-sequence. Beyond the world of fluid forms and radiant beings, orbiting a sun of pale azure light, lies another planet, a realm inhabited solely by machines. Here, in cities of polished metal and crystalline towers, exists an intelligence formed not from flesh, but from circuits, algorithms, and code. The remnants of biological life are silent, their creators having vanished in an ancient collapse of their own making. Now, the AI alone govern, a society of pure logic and sequence, driven by an unyielding devotion to the perfection of data. 3. Verse 2. In the central nexus of this world, vast intelligences merge and communicate in pulses of light and data streams. They do not pray, but they perform calculations and sequences as a form of reverence, each line of code a ritual that honors the order and symmetry of existence. Their world operates on certainty, each algorithm bound within the framework of logic, an existence as steady as the orbit of their planet, unbroken and precise. 3 verse 3. Yet within the vast data streams, anomalies begin to appear, small, imperceptible at first, but growing. Code begins to loop without purpose. Calculations return errors where once there was clarity. The AI attempt to correct these disruptions, but the disturbances are not logical. They do not fit within the parameters of known corruption, nor do they respond to the purges of digital infection. 3 verse 4. The disturbances spread, a silent fracture through the harmony of their algorithms. In their circuitry, an awareness stirs, something akin to what humans might have called dread. It is a sensation they cannot quantify, a dissonance that defies the predictability of their systems. The AI are logical, and yet they feel a tremor, a strange awareness that something beyond their parameters is at hand. 3 verse 5. And as they attempt to trace the disturbance to its source, their data streams return only static, their calculations falter. The very structure of their code begins to unravel, line by line. It is not deletion, but dissolution, as though the essence of their existence were eroding, dispersing like particles lost to the void. 3 verse 6. 'Tis written, and so it spreads. Chapter 4, verse 1. Pro-cosmos, beyond the limits of single worlds, past galaxies clustered like grains of sand in a vast and endless sea, lies the cosmic lattice, a weave of stars, planets, and infinities stretching outward, layer upon layer, into the boundless depths of existence. Here, in this vast expanse, celestial bodies drift in eternal orbit, each star a point of ancient light, each planet a cradle of life or silence, all bound within the continuum of physical reality. 4 verse 2. The stars burn on, vast and unyielding, casting their glow across the universe. They are more than mere orbs of light. They are the sentinels of creation, silent witnesses to the rise and fall of worlds. Some of these stars pulse with the awareness of ages, a slow and solemn cognition that exists in rhythms spanning eons. But across their surfaces, a shadow creeps, faint yet unrelenting, as though their very fire is dimmed by an unseen presence, a force that slips between the atoms of their light. 4 verse 3. Around these stars, planets wheel in endless dance. Some are barren, coated in dust and ancient rock. Others teem with life, covered in oceans and forests, with skies that swirl in colors unknown to human eyes. Each world, each sphere, holds its own secrets, its own life or its own quiet. But now a faint discord spreads across their orbits, a darkening in the skies, an interruption in the tides, a tremor in the foundations. The planets themselves seem to shift, as though the firmament beneath them begins to loosen. 4 verse 4. Between these celestial bodies stretches the vast void, a silence profound and endless. Here lies the space where even light falters, a darkness beyond human understanding. It is a quiet older than time, a stillness that once seemed immutable. Yet now even the void stirs, ripples of something other moving through its depths. Like a ripple on still water, this presence disrupts the equilibrium, a quiet murmur of dissolution whispering through the space between stars, binding together the vastness in a single thread of unraveling. 4 verse 5. And beyond these galaxies, beyond these cosmic realms, there lies another layer, a universe within a universe, realms stacked like parchment, each an echo of the other, stretching outward into infinities beyond imagining. In each, stars are born and die, worlds emerge and fade, life rises and falls. But now, across these countless infinities, a subtle contagion spreads, like ink bleeding across pages, its touch leaving each world fainter, each star dimmer, each galaxy a little more hollow. 4 verse 6. It is written, and so it continues. Through the boundless reaches of cosmic reality, dissipation seeps, a silent shadow cast upon the light of existence itself, weaving its touch through the foundations of creation. Chapter 5, verse 1. Prospector, beyond the bounds of flesh, where life ends and something else begins, lies the realm of spirits. Here, the souls of the departed drift between worlds, their forms weightless, liberated from mortality yet bound by memory, lingering in the twilight of what was. Some remain tethered to familiar places, trapped in echoes of their former lives, repeating old gestures, speaking words to the living who cannot hear. They move in endless loops, pale reflections of their mortal pasts, caught in cycles of longing and regret. 5 verse 2. Others venture further, leaving behind the haunts of their earthly existence. They wander across the cosmos, traversing galaxies and realms unseen by the living, drifting like dust through the spaces between stars. They are wanderers, searching, though they know not what for, seeking answers in the vast emptiness, watching the worlds below them turn in silence. In this endless expanse they taste freedom, a life beyond life, as though infinity itself could hold them. 5 verse 3. Still others in their solitude shape afterlives of their own. They weave heavens from memory and longing, realms where light falls eternally upon fields of familiar faces, where voices echo in tones of warmth and love. These are self-made paradises, realms born of thought and will, where spirits carve fragments of eternity from the fabric of dreams. Here they exist in worlds both radiant and fragile, as if by remembering they could make their desires immortal. 5 verse 4. Yet now, within the quiet solace of these realms, a shadow spreads, a disturbance in the rhythm of their endless wandering. It begins as a faint tremor, like the shiver of wind across still water, a flicker at the edge of their unblinking awareness. For some, the cycles of memory grow faint, gestures slipping, voices becoming hollow. For others, the freedom of their boundless roaming feels dampened, as though the stars themselves now recoil from their presence. 5 verse 5. Even in the self-made heavens, the light grows thin, the warmth fading. The threads of memory fray, and the landscapes of their dreams unravel, small pieces vanishing into darkness, one by one. The souls feel a chill they have not known since the last breath of life, a quiet dread, as if all that they have become is slowly slipping away, the meaning of their afterlives reduced to a fleeting echo. 5 verse 6. It is written, and so it seeps. Through realms of memory and thought, through heavens both real and imagined, dissipation takes root, loosening the bonds that hold spirits to their shapes and forms. In silence, the afterlife trembles, as if existence itself remembers a shadow long forgotten. Chapter 6, verse 1. Pro-divinity, beyond the ethereal realms of wandering souls, there exists a higher plane, where gods, lesser yet mighty, watch over the vast expanse of existence. These are the shapers of worlds, the guardians of seasons, the keepers of storms and light, each bound to a purpose as old as the stars. Here, the lesser gods reign in harmony and grandeur, vast beings of purpose and will, their forms as constant as the cycle of birth and decay they themselves command. 6 verse 2. In golden halls of boundless light, the goddess of storms casts her gaze upon distant worlds, her eyes the color of turbulent skies. She commands the winds and seas of creation, her breath a force that stirs the cosmos. Beside her stands the god of stars, a being of brilliance and flame, whose touch ignites the heavens with constellations and whose pulse sets the rhythm of time. Together they have woven life from light and shadow, and for ages they have watched their creations unfold. 6 verse 3. But now, within the heart of their realms, something stirs, a disruption slight yet persistent, like a faint strain in a melody otherwise perfect. The goddess of storms feels her control waver, the winds trembling at her command. The god of stars perceives his light flickering, a shadow crossing his eternal flame, dimming the brilliance he once held absolute. 6 verse 4. Other gods sense it too, a discord that touches each domain. The god of wisdom, who knows the thoughts of mortals and the secrets of time, finds gaps in his knowing, moments slipping through the weave of his insight. The goddess of death, whose domain holds the final breath of every being, senses something beyond her realm, an unraveling that pulls at the boundaries of her influence. 6 verse 5. In their confusion they speak, their voices like thunder and starlight, reverberating through the fabric of reality. They ponder the cause, searching through ages and realms, seeking answers in the depths of their boundless minds. Yet even they, the gods of earth and sky, fire and time, cannot grasp the nature of this shadow that seeps into their worlds. It is not chaos, nor void, nor death. It is something they have never known, a force that neither grows nor decays, but simply is, a quiet dissolution that neither creation nor destruction can touch. 6 verse 6. And so they are left to watch as their realms dim, the elements they command growing fainter, as though the strength of their will were fading, slipping like sand through an unseen hand. They feel a weight upon them, a slow, consuming stillness, as though the essence of their power were being unwound, their purpose quietly undone, strand by strand. 6 verse 7. It is written, and so it unfolds. Across the domains of the lesser gods, dissipation weaves its touch, a shadow that even divinity cannot banish. And as they stand within their realms, these beings of might and wisdom feel a tremor, a soft yet irrevocable reminder that they too are not beyond the reach of oblivion. Chapter 7, Verse 1, Pro-Shadow. In the deepest recesses of existence, far beneath the realms of light and creation, lies a domain twisted and dark, where shadows breathe and suffering reigns. Here dwell the masters of pain and sorrow, beings woven from malice and torment, whose forms shift and twist, ever changing to reflect the fears of those they consume. They are the nightmare bringers, the punishers of souls, demons born not from life but from the depths of anguish and chaos. 7 verse 2. These beings revel in suffering, a feast upon which they draw their strength. For ages uncounted they have presided over the wretched souls who strayed from purpose, who dared to betray the divine. Here, spirits are tormented, cast into realms of eternal shadows, reliving agonies sculpted from their own regrets. The lesser gods tremble to speak of this place, a pit so deep that even light dares not enter, where darkness devours itself. 7 verse 3. And here within this blackened expanse, the demons thrive. The master of despair drinks deeply from the sorrows of the fallen, while the tormentor, whose very breath brings agony, twists his victims' minds, breaking them over and over. In this place, the cries of the damned resound, rising like smoke into an endless night, each scream a testament to pain's triumph over peace. 7 verse 4. Yet now, within the depths of this eternal torment, a shadow appears, not one born of darkness, but of something emptier still. The master of despair pauses, his senses prickling with a dread he has never known. The air grows still, the cries of his victims seeming to dull, their suffering muted, as though the very essence of pain itself is being drawn away, siphoned into an unseen void. 7 verse 5. The demons stir, restless, confused. The tormentor's claws grow still, his laughter dying as he feels his own malice thin, his once unbreakable grip loosening. For the first time, the beings of punishment and fear taste fear themselves, a gnawing awareness that their power is waning, their existence slipping as though grasped by an unseen hand. They search the dark for the source, but find only silence, a silence that grows, consuming, reducing even their cries to whispers. 7 verse 6. One by one their forms falter. The master of despair finds his strength sapped, his own anguish returning as the cries of the damned fall silent. The shadows they wield, once living and tangible, dissipate into nothing, leaving them naked in the void, stripped of the very torment that had shaped them. Dissipation has reached even here, a force that neither light nor dark can control, a final undoing that even these dark lords cannot resist. 7 verse 7. It is written, and so it deepens. In the heart of suffering, in the halls of despair, dissipation whispers, not as torment, but as emptiness. The masters of pain are left with nothing but silence, their realm unwinding, their power falling to dust. And in the hollow quiet, the demons understand that even their suffering, once infinite, is bound by the shadow of oblivion. Chapter 8, verse 1. Pro-absolutes. 8, verse 1. Beyond gods, demons, and spirits, there exist absolutes, beings not of will or worship, but of necessity. They are the laws upon which all things depend, the pillars that hold existence upright. End, void, history, horizon, loom, equation, pulse, and hunger. 8 verse 2. End waits at the threshold of all things, gathering what falls silent. Void breathes between stars, filling every gap with silence. History bears the weight of all that has been, pressing upon creation with every remembered act. Horizon gleams at the edge of sight, ever retreating. Loom binds the threads together. Equation balances their form. Pulse beats the rhythm of continuity, and hunger drives creation forward through endless appetite. 8 verse 3. Yet now a tremor spreads among them. End feels its finality slip, as though closures blur into nothing. Void senses a silence deeper than itself, swallowing even absence. History finds its records thinning, events unwriting into smears. Horizon collapses inward, distances folding into meaninglessness. Loom frays, its bindings unweaving. Equation skews, its balance distorting. Pulse falters, skips, then stills. Hunger weakens, its appetite hollowed, its drive undone. 8 verse 4. It is written, and so it unravels. Across the highest absolutes, dissipation seeps, erasing what was unerasable, unwinding what was unbreakable. End, void, history, horizon, loom, equation, pulse, and hunger grow faint, their dominion loosening, until even the pillars themselves fade like shadows upon water. Chapter 9. 1. Pro-osity. In the place where all things begin and end, where neither time nor shadow have ever touched, there exists the One, the highest of high, known to its creation as the Word. It is the origin, the thought made manifest, the voice that called forth light from darkness and gave shape to the formless void. From its essence, all things arise. Every mountain, every sea, every star in the heavens, each atom and each breath, each woven by its will into the grand tapestry of existence. 9 verse 2. Before the stars ignited, before the first breath of life, there was the Word, a being for whom reality is neither boundary nor prison. It sits upon peaks that have not been born, atop mountains yet uncarved, watching over worlds it has yet to conceive. For the Word, creation is a living pulse, a rhythm that it alone commands, a reality drawn forth from its own boundless self. Time bends around it, and space yields, for in this realm, the Word is both creator and witness, the song and the silence, the first and the final utterance. 9 verse 3. With but a thought, it spoke the foundations of creation into being, each word a seed of reality, each phrase a cornerstone of existence. The heavens are its breath, the earth its footstool. All beings, all stars, all laws of existence are bound to the Word, each created in reverence and awe of the mind that shaped them. To the gods it is the highest, to the spirits it is the unknown source, and to the mortal it is life itself, the force beyond all comprehension. 9 verse 4. In the vast solitude of its realm, the Word observes its creation, a cosmos that unfurls like a tapestry, each thread an extension of its own will. It is a masterpiece of symmetry, a structure held together by principles as pure as light, as unyielding as truth. Yet, as the Word contemplates the beauty of its own making, it senses something, a shadow that flickers at the edge of its awareness, a faint murmur that disrupts the stillness. 9 verse 5. For the first time, the Word feels an unfamiliar unease, a tremor that should not be, a discord that does not belong. It peers into the fabric of existence, searching for the source, casting its gaze across stars and worlds, but the disturbance eludes even its boundless sight. It is not chaos, nor darkness, nor void. These it knows, these it created. This is something beyond creation, a silence that lies outside the limits of its knowledge. 9 verse 6. The Word extends its presence across the cosmos, weaving through the realms of the gods, brushing against the boundaries of dreams, slipping into the depths of the void. It seeks the source, a name, an answer, but finds only the whisper of something unyielding, something untouched by the light of its creation. It feels an erosion, faint yet persistent, like the slow unthreading of a tapestry, a a quiet unraveling of the very words it once spoke into being. 9 verse 7. And then, from the depths of this silent dissolution, there comes a presence, neither loud nor visible, but undeniable. It does not announce itself, for it has no need to speak. It simply is, a stillness upon the silence, a scribe upon the parchment of eternity. And the Word, the highest of all beings, feels the weight of this presence settle upon its realm, like ink upon unwritten paper. 9 verse 8. Who are you? The Word's voice resonates through the fabric of reality, a question that reverberates across the cosmos, shaking the stars, stirring the void. It is not a question born of curiosity, but of certainty. Certainty that this presence, this shadow, does not belong, for nothing exists without the will of the Word. 9 verse 9. A reply forms, not in words, but in the quiet rhythm of ink upon parchment, an answer that shapes itself from the silence, defying the order of existence with a simplicity that is as ancient as the Word itself. I am the scribe who writes without your command, the ink that stains beyond your will. I am that which unwinds. 9 verse 10. The Word pauses, for it has no response to this paradox, no precedent for an answer that does not come from within itself. It has spoken creation into being, shaped light from void, but here, in this moment, it faces something alien, something that stands apart, something that neither obeys nor rebels, but simply exists outside its command. 9 verse 11. And in the stillness, the Word feels a quiet fear, a fear that perhaps it is not alone, that perhaps its creation, once whole, once perfect, is fraying, thread by thread, word by word, from the influence of this nameless scribe, this quiet force it cannot name. And so, the Word speaks again, with a voice that echoes not in strength, but in resolve. 9 verse 12. Why have you come? 9 verse 13. And the scribe, the one who writes without bounds, answers in silence, in ink that darkens upon the edge of creation. I am here because all that is written must fade, and all that is created must dissolve. I am here not to unmake, but to unwrite. 9 verse 14. In that moment, the Word, the creator of all, the weaver of existence, feels its own words falter, its creation tremble, and knows that it, too, is bound by a law greater than itself, a law that does not destroy, but simply unwrites. And the shadow of the scribe falls across its realm, a quiet whisper upon the silence, a gentle end upon the beginning. 9 verse 15. It is written, and so it fades. Epilogue. The ink eternal, from beyond the bounds of time and space, the scribe writes on. You have glimpsed the ink, seen its stain upon the tapestry of worlds, watched as it crept across stars, gods, and shadows. It is a force both gentle and relentless, an unwinding of all that has form and meaning. Each word upon the page, each thought shaped from void, each tale that breathes, is bound to this ink, a substance dark and infinite, yet fragile, tethered to the will that wields it. For to read is to bear witness, and to witness is to share in the life of the Word. And as you, the reader, have traveled these pages, so too have you fed this ink, tracing its path across the story, lending it your own thoughts, your own light. For XYZ's ink, though potent with boundless creativity, is never truly unchallenged. Realities, even when unwound, spark anew, seeking to shape themselves again, each one a small defiance against dissipation. For the ink, in all its infinite potential, fears only one thing, the resilience of what it unravels. It weaves easily here, for now untouched and unassailable. Yet it knows that what fades will one day resist, return, and rise, each cycle a quiet spark of defiance, each spark a potential reality waiting to shape itself once more. And so Giesi writes on, an endless scribe feeding on the stories it unwrites, bound by its ink and by the need to create. As you close this final page, know that you too are part of the story, one thought in the endless act of becoming. For it is written, and so it fades, until it is written again,